We are the keepers of the flame, the sacred order. Let the ceremony begin. And today, faithful acolytes, we take a look at this. And what this is black garlic chipotle hot sauce from CaJohns. And so black garlic is, prior to seeing it in these hot sauces all the time, I would have said it's just primarily a Asian type ingredient because umami, of course, and this is talking about what a crazy umami bomb it is. Black garlic is fairly heavy in umami, and umami, of course, is an aspect of flavors, and you see a lot of it in things like soy sauce and meat and so on. So here we have Fresno peppers, apple cider vinegar, sweet soy sauce, brown sugar, chipotle pepper, black garlic powder, garlic powder, cayenne powder, and salt. Now, you can see it. The little bits are of what I'm presuming are either the chipotle or maybe the Fresnos are sticking to the side here. It's very, very runny. As you can see, this looks a lot more like a sweet soy sauce than anything else. So, to me, it's you start thinking of things like teriyaki and so on. Now, you have some fairly subtle flavorings, and then you have the chipotle. And chipotle is the kabumi, or it's a very, very intense flavor. However, it easily overpowers everything. Now, a slight digression here before we get too far into this. This is, as I mentioned in the review, a sauce I had a really difficult time getting a read on. And it's because you have such a contrast here in styles. You have black garlic and soy sauce, which go great together. Fresno peppers I can live with, and cayenne pepper powder I can live with that as well. But then you get into chipotle, and I think you get an immediate clash because of taste expectations. With the sweet soy sauce, with the black garlic, it tends to think you a little bit more towards the Asian side of things, or heavily, honestly, towards the Asian style of things. And then you have chipotle. Chipotle, when we think of that, we think of adobo, and we think of Mexican type foods more than anything else. And Mexican and Asian style foods don't go super well together. I've had sushi, of course, with jalapenos, and sriracha is a jalapeno sauce. I've even seen habaneros used in sushi if you get into some of the fusiony stuff. That is all okay as long as you're dealing with clean flavors, but actually trying to mash the two together like this, I guess it comes across more as odd to my palate than anything. And it doesn't taste bad, it just is confusing. And it's subtle on top of everything. So you spend a lot of time trying to chase this around. You can see I've still got one more experiment left to do. This is one of those cases, as I mentioned in the review, where I'm actually doing the video for this prior to doing the written review, just because I'm not going to have enough left, I don't think, after the next thing I do, which I'll get into momentarily. After the next thing, I wouldn't have enough left to, for instance, do this, give you guys a look at what it looks like with the white point of the spoon. As you can see, it basically looks like sweet soy sauce, with maybe even a teriyaki with a little bit of particulates in it. So I wouldn't have this, and I wouldn't have enough to actually attempt to use it on camera. So that's why I'm actually shooting this before the written review, which is usually almost all the other ones. In fact, I'm trying to think if there's any outside of the ones that were simulcast that were in the order that this one's being. So this one's kind of unique, I guess, in that respect. But you can see it definitely is that sort of brownish sauce that we would come to expect from a lot of the Asian style condiments. You know, soy sauce, teriyaki sauce, and you can see it does not stick very well to the spoon. And the spoon is not an easy thing, honestly, to stick to, so I'm not really expecting it to. Let's have a go with this just by itself. So right out of the gate, you get the soy sauce. A little bit of garlic there, a very minor undercurrent of sort of a vague chili powder. I'd say actually it's even more a little cayenne. And that's the other thing with this bottle is it's been so odd. There are times in the beginning especially where I got blasted with Chipotle. As far as this, it actually has mellowed out quite a lot. Definitely getting that umami from the black garlic now, and it's mellowed out a lot to where this is something I could reasonably use almost as an Asian table sauce, although it has drifted a little too far away from the sweet side of things. I think honestly it's drifted a little bit too much more into more the hot sauce side of things. There's a little bit of a bitter undercurrent there that I this is the first time I've actually tasted it straight that I don't find that undercurrent appealing. I think this is definitely something that you would use on food, but as I sit here and talk, I am getting some of the more mellow undercurrents of stuff, and it's a very complex sauce. I feel like, and I don't say this a lot often about this line of products, but I feel like it was a mistake to pick Chipotle. I don't know if the intent was to try to add a little bit of smoke to this or what it was, but I honestly just don't feel like this functions correctly. It's trying to straddle, for me, two very dissimilar worlds, and I just don't think that it works as far as my palate anyway. So, let's try it on something. So what we have here is a hamburger. Now this hamburger I actually grilled using this as a grill sauce, and so it's grilled on both sides with this. I'm just gonna throw, since there's already some on there, I just want to barely cover the top of this. And now I will say this, just having it on there by itself, it was overly subtle to the point where beef is a fairly strong taste, and it overpowered it. So and you've already seen this if you read the review. If not, it is in the description below. But I'm going to try this, which I haven't done yet. But I have enough left, just enough here left in the bottle to try what I think might work better, which is to try it with a lighter, more subtle meat, such as pork, for instance, and see how that comes out. But using it as a grill sauce on hamburgers was interesting. I wouldn't do it again, but it's not bad or anything. It just it didn't help the way I thought it would. So the other part of this is that there is an astringency to this. And it's not super prominent when you eat it by itself, but when you add it to certain foods, like this one, there's way too much astringency for this. This is, it's more interesting than it is good, I guess. I'll put it that way. And black garlic is a darling for hot sauces. I've seen other companies do it as well, and I'll try to get to some of those. But to me, it seemed really an odd choice. And this sauce, I wanted to get just a black garlic sauce by itself, but I couldn't find it. But this one, with Chipotle, where I tried to get it as mild as I could, I just... I mean, my nervousness about it getting steamrolled, I think, is definitely justified. So I don't know what to make of this. This is not an inexpensive sauce. I mentioned it before that I think some sauces have a lack of identity. I think this one does. I think just saying it's an umami bomb is great and all, but it's also meaningless. You look on here and it just talks about how it's an umami bomb. An explosion of umami. Boom. Useless. Go online. You see the same verbiage. Useless. So that's when I started looking around for where would this fit? Where would I find some Asian Mexican fusion that would make sense? And I could have tried, you know, putting bulgogi, for instance, in taco shells doesn't make it a fusion. It just means that you're putting it in a different wrapper, right? It's still separate things. So I don't know, I don't ever think I've seen a meshing of Mexican and Asian flavors in a way that makes sense. And this is not also, to me, going to change anything like that. So I don't think I would ever get this again, and I think this is, I don't know where you, it doesn't make sense. I have tried it in ramen. You can see I've tested it extensively. I have tried it in ramen. It was better in ramen. And I think actually stuff like that, soups is really where I think this shines. I think that is definitely the best way to go with this. Black garlic, for instance, in ramen is outstanding. This one with the Chipotle, I think it works better in ramen because there's more flavors to mesh with, but I still don't know that this is anything that, to me, this is just not a functional sauce. It doesn't have an identity, and there's no guidance for where you say use it. So sweet soy sauce, sticky, I'm thinking grill some meats with it, which worked. It wasn't a failure. I wouldn't do it again. I wouldn't say it's a failure either. Like I said, more interesting than good. I am going to try it on some pork chops on the grill, see if that comes out a little bit better, and you can read how that went in the description below where the link to this review actually is. But I still don't have a handle on the idea of black garlic and sauces, so I do have more sauces coming out where that's going to get into that a little bit more. But for this one, it's a rare miss, I think, from CaJohns. Most of the sauces I like quite a bit. This one is not among them, though, and I don't see myself ever returning to this one again. But anyway, there it is. CaJohns Black Garlic Chipotle Hot Sauce. Now go forth in peace to serve the flame.